Hi, Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns. I like harvesting green wood and then turning a bowl from it. That's the case from this one. You've seen the wood from this tree before in another turning. I had great hopes for this one because it was actually a very large block of the pear wood. But then when I got down to it, there was a limb going through the rim section, and I figured that no way that was going to survive drying through the process between rough turning and finishing turning. So this turns out to be a lot smaller, but it is still a nice bowl out of this pear. Let's turn it.
Originally, this pear trunk was cut into smaller lengths and ripped in half. However, it appears that I missed cutting through the pith. That is just more wood to remove, since I rarely want to have the pith in the side of the bowl. That would be asking for cracks in this case. Since I have the saw out, I'll just saw off the excess, then I cut off the corners. Then sight on my clear circle template to find a good center. After marking the center, I'm drilling a hole through the bark so that my live center can seat into solid wood. With that now solid, I can press it against a large wood faceplate to get started. I find this a lot easier on my lathe, but I would not attempt on a smaller lathe with a weaker tailstock. So now I can start working the exterior with my large bowl gouge, my favorite tool. There is a lot of bark to cut through. The corners are gone, but I still have to round it off. I nearly always want to work from the bottom, then up the sides. In contrast, I do not want to attack the corners first, since that would be cutting into end grain at least half the time. Working from the bottom, I'm cutting mostly into side grain. It's much easier to cut side grain than end grain. I get it round and all traces of bark are gone. Finally, cut a tenon so that I can reverse the bowl into a solid mount. Now the bowl is reversed onto a chuck. The first area to cut is the top. As it turns out, there's a lot of defects in the surface. I'm having to waste off a lot of wood to get down to solid wood. I'm disappointed, since I was expecting to yield a larger bowl from this big block of wood. It is smaller and shorter than what I expected. Oh well, I get what the wood wants to give. Then coated the bowl with bowl saver and let it dry 6 months. This bowl has now shrunk and distorted. The difference between the measures is about 3/4 inch. The distortions are pretty wild. As usual, I have to hope that there is enough wall thickness to yield more than a funnel. The first task is to recut the mounting tenon. I've pressed the bowl between a closed chuck and the live center. This is better now than a faceplate because of the distortions at the rim. The inside bottom of the bowl is pretty stable. enough to cut a new tenon. Now for the rim. I have to know where the top is before I can address the shape of the exterior. I'm keeping the live center in place just in case and because I can. With careful strokes, I'm first taking out the ripples in the wood. Then I can carefully refine the shape, mostly with a shear cut. I'm forming a bit of a flare at the rim. I like the feel of the flare and the better grip when holding the bowl. I'm finishing off with a heavy bowl scraper that I usually use on the interior. Now for the interior, back with the large bowl gouge. I have to be careful and take gentle cuts since the interior is still very wavy from drying. Fortunately, there is enough wall thickness that I can now leave a nice wall thickness, about a ½ inch near the top and gradually increasing near the bottom. This will leave the bowl with a nice weight distribution for a good feel. I finish up with a heavy bowl scraper before sanding, starting with 80 grit up through 400 grit. 80 grit is important to ensure the overall smooth feel and eliminate any unwanted ridges. Before tackling the foot, I'm measuring the walls from the rim to the base to make sure I know how much wood I can remove for the foot. I don't want to remove very much since I established the shape that I like when working the exterior earlier. This one has plenty. I've mounted 2 coal jaws on my chuck. These jaws are big, so I cannot run them very fast. There are dire warnings on the jaws, but it does not take very much to remove the excess wood from the foot. Then sand the foot area. Just for decoration, I'm cutting a couple of grooves near the center. This time, I'm using the corner of a box scraper. After sanding, I give it a good bath with walnut oil. This brightens the wood of this bowl. Wipe on and wipe off. Finally, I decide to buff the bowl with tripoli, that's the red stuff, white diamond, that's the white stuff, and carnauba wax, the yellowish stuff. The bowl is smaller than I anticipated. It has a nice mellow look and a nice heft. The grain is not pronounced, it is more subtle. I understand some states have declared war on Bradford pear as an invasive species. It was supposed to not be fertile, but nature finds a way. I heard that somewhere, but it did not help the real dinosaurs. Maybe that war will provide more nice turning blanks for more future bowls. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website, tell your friends, and send me your comments and questions. Every week I make a new wood turning video and add to the over 400 videos to choose from on my website. Please wear your full face shield anytime the lathe is running. Until next week's video, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.